Not gonna lie, my reading this year has been off to a slow start, but I'm not gonna put pressure on myself to read too many books at once because that caused burnout at one point. So hey, my name is Icy and welcome to my no pressure reading journal update. So first of all, I want to thank Kai the Minion, who was really kind enough to leave a comment on my 2023 reading journal flip through video. So as you can see, in a month I can only probably read 3 to 4 books, which is why I don't divide my reading journal into months. I do set up my reading journal every year and I try to update it every month. And at the end of the year, I try and do statistics even though I don't like numbers. And what I like about the reading journal community is that there are so many different spreads that you can try out and see what works for you. So with my book spreads, I like being creative, using stationery and stickers that relate to the book that I've just read. And of course, color is very important, so I try to match the color with the cover of the books. And this is me flipping through my swatch notebook and picking out the red that is appropriate for this book that I'm doing. So I usually stick the main pieces of stationery on the pages first before I write my review, dates read, rating, and my favorite quotes. And then I grab my pencil and I draft where I would like certain things to go, like quotes. And then I practice the type of lettering on my draft notebook so I don't have an expectation versus reality moment. And speaking of lettering, I try to copy the lettering style of the book so I can also practice my lettering while updating my reading journal. I also really hope that these Korean characters make sense. So anyway, this book spread that I'm doing is for a horror Korean graphic novel, which of course is in English. I gotta give it to the Koreans and the Japanese who think of so many unique storylines for film and literature. So this is about a world where people get notified of when they die, and they die a very violent death by being attacked by these monsters. And the people in this book are divided into believers and non-believers, and it reminds me of religious fanaticism. And I find this book very unsettling because the police can't do anything about the killings and the attacks. So apparently this is already a Netflix series which I have yet to watch. If you like those kind of things, I highly recommend this graphic novel. I appreciated the illustrations so much, so whenever I read a graphic novel, I try and print some of the scenes that stood out to me. The second book that I finished this year was Belladonna by Adalyn Grace. And again, I rummaged through my pen collection to find the perfect shade of purple for this book. And I start drafting everything on the page and selecting stickers that match the feel of the book. And right now I feel like writing the title of the book in calligraphy, so this is one of my calligraph pens from Archer & Olive. I am an Archer & Olive affiliate, and please feel free to use my discount code ICStudio10 for 10% off eligible Archer & Olive items in the link in the description. That was a mouthful. I am so out of breath right now. So anyway, what I love about keeping a creative reading journal is that I get to practice so many creative skills like hand lettering and calligraphy. I find these activities very mindful and relaxing, and I just completely zone out. So if you would like to see more calligraphy videos, please let me know and I will deliver. So anyway, I also track my reading progress through the Goodreads app. I was actually asked at one point why I keep a reading journal. I actually started keeping a reading journal in 2022, and before that I usually relied on my Goodreads app. But the amazing thing about keeping a reading journal is that you keep so many memories of the book. Sometimes I forget what the book is about because I don't really write reviews on Goodreads. So I think keeping a reading journal is like a tangible way of keeping the memories and your favorite things about the books that you've read. So anyway, back to this book. So Belladonna is a gothic young adult fantasy about a girl who seems to leave a trail of death on her wake. And because your girl is in her gothic, dark, witchy era, I really appreciated the gothic and horror-ish vibes of this book. However, it feels like it fell flat at some point, or maybe because I'm a mood reader and I wasn't really feeling it. I felt like the ending wasn't really convincing and the love story was a bit... I'm not sure how to describe it without spoiling it for everyone, but I just wasn't feeling it. And because the protagonist is an orphan girl, she hops from one family to another, and then she finally finds this family who has a lot of drama, and it kind of goes into a murder mystery vibe, which I kind of appreciated, but I guess it fell flat again. So anyway, a new thing that I'm trying out this year is to compile some new words that I discover in the books that I read and put them in my new word spread. And this is me just modifying my new word spreads because I just realized that I have like, I don't know, more than 10 new words in a book, because yeah, ESL girl is ESL. I am hoping that this spread will help me widen my vocabulary range, especially my synonyms. I actually discovered this spread from Emily by Planned and Planted, and I thought it was like a really smart way to compile new words or words that I don't really know the meaning, so the next time I encounter them, I won't need to look them up on the dictionary. So the third book that I finished in January was called Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. I actually read the first book to this series called Little Thieves maybe last year or 2 years ago. So it's a young adult fantasy series that's about gods and goddesses and magic. So we follow Vanya, who in the first book was abandoned by her mother in the woods, and she was taken in by two goddesses called Death and Fortune, and since then she was fending for herself. And in this book she encounters a scary being or deity or a low god, and apart from that she also encounters a previous flame who she goes on an adventure with and discovers a lot about her family background while trying to appease the scary low god that she encountered. I feel like this book isn't as good as the first one, maybe because it was my mood or maybe I was expecting a lot from it. But I wasn't entirely disappointed. I gave this book a 3-star rating out of 5, so it wasn't that bad. What I loved about it was the writing. It was so beautiful and lyrical and magical, and the world building was so amazing. I could imagine things, and I loved the banter between the characters. It was very funny. I guess it just fell flat and felt like it dragged on in some parts of the book, and felt like the ending was supposed to be mind-blowing, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. Again, maybe it was just my mood. But then I did like a lot of quotes in this book, which you can see I wrote in red ink. And after writing everything down, I decorate the page with stickers that remind me of the book. And now that we're done with the book spread, it's time to add new words on the new words page. Initially, I wasn't sure on how to add the words here, like do I make it colorful or do I just use a black pen? But in the end, I decided to use the same color scheme as the book that I found the word from. Now that I'm done with my books read in January, let's do a flip through. So I will be finishing this books read page at the end of the year, so it'll be satisfying AF. If you haven't yet, you can watch my 2024 reading journal setup video and watch the whole process. So my next reading journal update will be about the 3 books I'm currently reading simultaneously at the moment. I am loving The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I am almost done with it, and I am very excited to do book spreads for these books that I am currently reading. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more bullet journaling and reading journal content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.